The Walking Dead had a episode with kind of a different different feel, different beats to it. It involved. Did you watch it, by the way? You did.
No.
Oh man, we can't rant about the CGI-Deer. Did have you heard about that?
No, but I'd love to be able to.
We'll get to it. We will get to it.
When the tiger was introduced with the kingdom, I heard a lot of people complain about that. I didn't have a huge problem with that, but
Nathan thinks it looks like 100% fake. I'm like, no, it looks pretty
there
good.
were some moments where they used a real tiger.
I don't know, but that's
Anyway.
that's aside from the point. So this episode was all about just Rick and Michonne basically doing just a 2-man mission to find guns to fight Negan's group with. And they happen upon a carnival, an abandoned carnival. And I don't know why they haven't done this sooner, because this is such a good idea for, just having supplies somewhere. Like that's somewhere where you want to go to like pick stuff up. But and it almost seems like for the longest time, like a lot of stuff goes really well for them. Like they literally climb on top of a building to look over the carnival, which of course not only has civilian zombies, but also military zombies walking around with guns, which is, that was good for them. So I guess they had when everything happened, they basically just turned that carnival area into a base camp for survivors. But then, of course, breakout happens, and we all know what happens at that point.
You kill everyone.
You kill everyone, or everyone just dies eventually. But they literally get on top of the building to overlook this place, and they fall, like the roof gives way, they fall on top of like a huge stockpile of food, like MREs, all this like non-perishable, like all these non-perishable food items. And like, so not only like are there guns, but there's like plenty of food, which is exactly what they needed. So it just seemed like things were literally like falling into their laps, or them falling into the laps of what they needed. And everything's going great. They're of course trying to get to, the rest of the carnival. So they decide to, go ahead, and instead of going back to Alexandria to get more people, they decide to tackle it on their own. They're feeling invincible. What could possibly go wrong? And and like at one point, so they're standing on this roof, right? And Michonne takes the rifle they have with a sniper scope on it and starts shooting at something. And Rick can't figure out what it is she's shooting. She's shooting at those like gallery games that they have at carnivals where there's like jugs stacked up. That's what she's shooting at. It's like, guys, I don't know if you know this, but you only have so much ammo. Like, I know that for a while, like, everyone was kind of like, they needed training and they like needed practice with shooting. But we're past that point. Like, this is just a waste. And like that, little details like that annoyed me about this episode. They of course, you kind of see like, their relationship, like they're obviously getting closer in their relationship. So the big thing that happens at one point, of course, there's a lot of zombies. So if you've been missing, like, key characters going out on a run and having to avoid zombies, there's plenty of that in this episode. At one point, Michonne goes off in one direction and Rick goes in another, and he goes by a Ferris wheel and he sees a deer. And earlier in the episode, towards the very beginning, Michonne woke up and saw a deer in the forest where they were staying. And and she went to go get a gun, and she woke up Rick, and then Rick, of course, is like, well, he wakes up like, because he's sleeping with one eye open and all that stuff. Scares off the deer. So he says, I owe you a deer. So he finds one at the carnival. And he's like actually like climbing up. He climbs up the Ferris wheel to like get a better view of it. Not all the way, mind you, just like probably about a good 10 to 15 feet up. And I gotta say, like, they did a really bad job on this thing. It looks there, and you want to talk about memes? Just search Walking Dead deer, and I'm sure you're gonna get plenty of memes. Like I think one person like photoshopped Rudolph into the scene. It looked really bad. It was obviously fake. It was obviously CG. It obviously didn't like the lighting was wrong. I could tell this because when we watch Walking Dead here, we're watching a standard definition picture on a high def television, which looks grainy as anything, but I'm a cheapskate, so I'm not going to pay for high definition just to watch a few TV shows. And yeah, you could even tell at standard definition that it was a bad CGI job. The color of the grass around the deer didn't even match the color of the rest of the grass in the shot. The lighting was completely off. The deer, like, the lighting, I want to say, was like shining above Rick going this way, and like the deer is like getting hit by light this way. It looked bad. And then when it moved, like, so the feet are like, they look like the feet are just like cemented to the ground, and all it does is it raises its head up and looks over to the right, and it looks so mechanical and so fake. It's bad. You want to tell me that the tiger looks bad? No, the tiger looks like a masterpiece compared to this thing. And like a lot of people have said, like, wow, I guess they blew all their budget on the tiger and they had like nothing left for this deer. There's like, you can't get like there were obviously like, that's the only time, by the way, in this whole episode that they used a CGI deer. Any other time you saw a deer that's alive, it was a real deer. Why couldn't they get a real deer to put in that shot? Blows my mind. Maybe they ran out of time. I don't know. But it was bad. Moving on though. So he's trying to like shoot this deer before walkers can get to it, or it runs away. And of course, what happens? The thing that he's holding on to gives way and he falls. And the walkers are coming for him. And Michonne is, of course, trying to get to him. Like, he takes out his gun and starts shooting him, and he runs out of shots. She rushes around and gets to him to see the walkers all eating something where he was. And I will say this. Of course, major spoilers. It's not Rick. Like, if you've been watching this show all the way up to this point, and if people actually bought for a second that they killed Rick off like that, I can't help you. You just stop watching the show now, because you will fall for every little thing that they do like that. I can't even call it like, when they did the Glenn Dumpster fake out death that we were all like freaking out about. Like, after that, like, they really have to try to like, and this wasn't anywhere near that. This was like basically just a moment that they wanted you. I guess the focus is more on Michonne thinking Rick was dead, and you just see her like lose the will to fight. Like, at one point she actually like drops her sword because she thinks he's dead. And of course he was like hiding in something that looks suspiciously like a dumpster, by the way. And they were eating the deer, but he hops out. He starts killing him with his hatchet and picks up her sword, gives her the sword, and then she starts killing everyone. And they get everything. Everything works out, but they're driving back, and they have like, dozens and dozens of guns and all this food. And Rick pretty much tells her, like, if anything, we're going to lose people in the fight with Negan. You may lose me, And if that happens, like, you need to step up and be the leader. And she's basically saying, like, I can't do that. Like, she's gotten so to the point where she's softened and, like, can't live without Rick. So, and then, of course, they go and they drop off the guns to the junkyard people. I think there's a name for that place. I just don't know what it is. But the people at the junkyard that they've made a deal with to fight Negan with them. And I think they mentioned they had like something like 62 guns, and they still want them to get more. They said, like, that's half of what we need. So they need to get more guns. And I want to say, like, I think Rosita, there's also like another subplot where it talks about or shows Rosita leaving Alexandria, like, because she's in some kind of mood, and she goes to the hilltop to find Sasha, and basically they want to just go out and take out Negan on their own. So I'm going to rate the episode, and then I'm going to give you, because I think this episode sets up a lot of stuff that we're going to see happen later on. I would say I would rate the episode a 7 out of 10, just because, like, it was a nice episode. It was a nice change of pace. There's plenty of zombie action in it. The CGI-Deer was noticeably bad. The stupid, the fake out, I guess, with Rick, which was kind of, necessary for the story. They could have tried to do better with that, but they didn't. And just kind of, I guess the way that, like, this the little things like her wasting ammo because she's at a carnival all of a sudden. That makes it okay to waste resources. That was pretty annoying. So, 7 out of 10. Here are my predictions, and these are pretty dire. I think they're going to kill off Michonne. What do you think of that?
I don't know. Usually whenever writers pull that line up, usually someone important or close to them dies. Mm-hmm. And I want to say more often than not, it's the person who says it who ends up dying, who's like, you have to just, like, if I die, you got to be able to, like, go without me. Or, no, not the person who says it, but the person they're saying it to. Normally, they'll die. Mm-hmm. And, like, the other person's just like, oh, no, how can I do this? It's like, dude, like, did you not remember what you just said? And usually that'll happen. And sometimes it'll be because, like, the other person, like, saves the other one. So.
And that's what I think they're setting up for. Like, Michonne's to the point where she can't live without Rick, and they're going to put her in a position where one of them is going to die, and she needs to, like, basically sacrifice herself for Rick. I think they're going to do that.
Or, like, it'll be, like, a split-second thing. Like, maybe, like, they'll start taking the saviors, and then, like, Negan will die, and then they'll be, like, celebrating or something like that. And then, like, Michonne sees, like, someone getting ready to, like, kill him who's, like, a savior, and she, like, pushes him out of the way, and it's like, no, not you, and she dies.
Yeah.
I can see them doing that. Because I really can't see them killing off Rick.
Right.
And, like, I know that doesn't really, like, it's not exactly like the comics, but I'm pretty sure that Rick is still alive in the comic books. I don't know about Michonne, but I could definitely see them doing that. I think that either Sasha or Rosita is gonna die very soon. But I can't tell, like, which one of them is going to, because it feels like Rosita is more attached and more emotionally distraught than Sasha is. Like, Sasha seems to be, like, keeping herself, like, a little bit, like, I guess, collected, she's not like on the edge as much as Rosita is, but she's still like angry about like what happened.
Right.
So like a lot of people would say like, oh, she's gonna do something like rash, or she's gonna try and like run all the way to like Negan and try and kill him, and she's gonna do something stupid, which like I could see them doing. But then I can also see them like taking out the one who's like more calm and relaxed about it, and then making Rosita even more like depressed and sad. Maybe driving her into like a fit of rage or something like that, or just like a. Maybe they can like turn her character into like a drunk, and then maybe like later on in the show they'll make her like a redemption character and she'll die like saving someone or doing something. I don't know. But I'm fairly certain one of them is gonna die by the end of the season.
Yeah, and not that I want that to happen. It's just more of like just based on what they've been doing lately with the show. That just seems to be fairly unavoidable.
Yeah.
And then also, yeah, and I think they're probably going to kill off Sasha because she is actually going to be a main character in an upcoming Star Trek TV show. So I don't think she's going to have time for both. I just don't think. Now, granted, Norman Reedus, like I was thinking, like they were going to kill off Daryl's character because he has like his own show on AMC now about like motorcycles and that kind of thing.
Is that still going?
Yeah, it's still going.
I thought that was just like a special. I didn't know that was like a whole show.
Yeah, so I could be wrong. Maybe Sasha's, the person, the actress who plays Sasha's got that kind of time. But
also Norman Reedus was in Death Stranding.
Yeah, I mean that's something they can work around. I think I want to say, but I think Daryl's going to be a mainstay of the show for quite a while. I think Sasha may go first, and then they may kill off Michonne later because I'm pretty sure Michonne's dead in the comics at some point. I don't know how she goes, but the show might stick with that. They may not. So who knows? But yeah, those are our predictions. Don't get mad at us if it's true.
Most likely going to be true.